Aloha. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 95. My name is Christina Estrada, partner of Booyah Marketing, creator of Authority Spotlight, where we have deeper connections. Today, our returning honored guest is David Bruce Leonard, author, acupuncturist, body worker, expert in tropical, edible, and medicinal plants. How are you, David?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine. Today we're going to talk about, I was thinking of talking about something called interoception, which is just a fancy word for body awareness. Um, and one of the reasons that I think that being able to feel sensations within your body is so important is that is the language of our emotional body is the foundational language of our emotions, our sensations in the body.
Hmm.
So an emotion is a sensation in the body, a physiological response plus a thought or a story or something we've tacked onto that. And the reason why this is so powerful or why it's such a powerful tool is because when we are children from the ages of like 0 to 3 or so, we do not we don't even begin to think in words until age 3 or so, 2 or 3.
Hmm.
So all of our emotions prior to that age are experienced as pure sensation in the body. They're sensations.
Yes.
They're either pleasant or unpleasant sensations. We're either sensations we like or sensations we don't like. And so as children, the foundation when we're developing, the foundation of our emotions is sensation based. Um, and this is also when our deepest scripts are created in our psyches, you know. So if we have a very nourishing, happy childhood, we have a lot of positive associations with the world. And if we have a very unhappy or miserable childhood, especially at that stage, but at any stage, we have very negative associations with caregivers in the world. And what's created during those periods of time are called somatic conclusions. In other words, if I am, God forbid, abused as an infant or a child, I have a lot of aversive sensations in my body, and I begin to be scripted. I begin to create the neurological habit of not feeling safe in the world. The world, and my conclusions are later on, the world is not safe.
Mhm.
Whereas if I have a lot of, or also it could also be that I am bad. I am not good. I'm bad, because when we're babies, we have no boundaries. So if something bad happens to us, we can conclude that we are somehow bad. Okay, that's a somatic conclusion. So alternately, if we when we're growing up, if we have a lot of positive experiences with positive sensations in our body, we might conclude, the somatic conclusions might be that the world is safe, or that we are good people, we're okay. So that's kind of the foundations of our emotions. So then as we grow up, we begin to add words. As we learn language, we begin to add words to those sensations. And the sensations plus the words are what we call an emotion. And this is all done very unconsciously. This, this is scripted very deep in our nervous system. So we don't consciously choose these things anymore. They were chosen for us by our childhood experiences. So one of the ways that in somatic psychology, one of the ways that we would deal with this is we need to go back and at least re-experience our emotions as purely sensations, and our scripting as purely sensations, right? Without any words
Hmm.
attached. When we do that, re-experience them and begin to bring our conscious adult mind into it and say, oh, this is just a sensation. I don't necessarily need to react like this, or I don't need to necessarily have this conclusion. So if I'm traumatized as a child and I'm hypervigilant, I may be afraid of people and everything in the world. Well, sometimes that's a good response if there's unsafe people and things around, but sometimes it's dysfunctional because if we're actually safe and we feel unsafe, we don't engage with the safety, and then blah 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 blah. So um, this is why it can be really useful to learn to feel the sensations within our body. Just experience them. It could be anything from indigestion to sexual sensations to anxiety to any emotion, joy. What's joy feel like in my body as a sensation? Okay. Um, but this is something we don't learn. In the West, in Western cultures, we tend to identify with our head. This is where David lives. But in many traditional cultures, tribal gathering cultures, when you ask people where they identify within their body, they will say their chest or their belly. Okay?
Mm.
So when I identify with my head, I tend to block this off and ignore sensations, and we tend to worship ideas. We tend to worship concepts. Um, and we ignore the sensations in our body. So, one of the things that I've done in the past is teach women self-defense. And we always teach women to trust their belly, trust the sensations in their body when they're interacting with the world. A lot of what we experience of the world is unconscious. And in Chinese medicine, it is often said that the unconscious exists below the diaphragm, but it really is below the neck. Between the neck to the pelvis is where we experience sensations, typically emotional sensations in the body. So we can learn to kind of backwards engineer, to unpack our emotional reactions through what's called interoception. And interoception is just body awareness. It's just awareness of what is going on inside your body. So we have different modes of perception. We have exteroception, where there's something out there, right? There's something here, farther away, that I'm perceiving. That's called exteroception. And reportedly, these are different parts of our nervous system. There's proprioception, which is anything within arm's reach that our nervous system navigates. And then there's interoception, which is what's happening inside our bodies. So if we feel like we have to pee or whatever, that's a sensation in the body, right? That's a distinct sensation, and we know that it'll wake us up at night, hopefully. Right? And we learn that as children. That's an interoception. So we can do the same thing with our emotions. We can learn what they feel like in our body, and when we do that, we can start to understand the somatic language of our childhood scripting, the somatic conclusions that we've come to in our bodies that may or may not be applicable. Now that we have an adult mind, we have boundaries, we understand the world better than we did when we were infants. So we can use that adult consciousness and bring it and apply it to that and sort of unpack our scripting and our habitual responses. The Tibetans have a practice which is called Shenpa, or Shenluk actually, which is, I won't get into it now, but it's a way of treating emotions as value neutral sensations in the body. And it's an old Tibetan practice of unpacking our emotions so they don't get to run us so much. We're not so reactive, right? We're more
Right,
responsive to the world. We're not just
right,
reacting. Because if
right,
we
right.
experience something in our bodies and we go, oh, this is just a sensation, it may or may not be applicable to what's going on outside, then it'll help us to navigate that. The Chinese also had practices or have practices that will strengthen the muscle of interoception, the muscle of body awareness. They're called Dao Yin. Now they're called Qigong, but when they were, for most of history, they were called Dao Yin. And there was a certain type of Dao Yin practice called a Neidan practice, which was created in the Song Dynasty or promoted in the Song Dynasty. And basically, it was bringing awareness inside, typically in the torso, but also in the rest of the body, the arms and the legs, and the head. But it would bring awareness into the body, and that would strengthen the quote unquote muscle of interoception, so that people were more familiar with the sensations in their bodies. So these were alchemical processes. They were called alchemical mapping in Chinese, and they were used to move energy in the body, move sensation in the body, and it was considered a very important part of healing. So these are sort of ancient versions of what we now call somatic psychology, which are just as applicable now as they were back then. It's something that we've lost through our becoming civilized. We've lost our connection to our own bodies, the sensations within our own bodies, and I believe by extrapolation, through losing that, we've lost our connection to the earth and to the planet. So anyway, that's a really brief version of interoception.
Wow, so much knowledge. Thank you, David. How do people get in contact with you?
My email is earthmedicine@protonmail.com, and my website is medic.earth.
Well, mahalo nui loa, David. We will put David Bruce Leonard's information down below. If you enjoyed this, please hit subscribe, leave a comment, tap the bell to get notified, and leave a thumbs up. That way you won't miss future interviews and business spotlights. If you're already subscribed, thank you. Your support helps us to produce helpful, informative content. My name is Christina Estrada, partner of Booyah Marketing, creator of Authority Spotlight, a hui ho. Until we meet again.